Speaking of learning, we have Lynn Pollard here, who's a teacher from Bay Ridge Elementary, and he's got his students with him. So, hi Lynn, how you doing?
How you doing?
Great.
Lovely weather.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We're field scientists. This is what we
exactly.
do.
This is what it's all about.
So tell us what you guys found out there.
Well, we've been out on the flats, and we've been doing two things. We've been looking for birds, and with our scopes and binoculars, and then we've been using the real high-tech stuff.
Yeah.
You know, margarine tubs, and taking a look at what's actually in the mud. And it turns out there's a lot of stuff in the mud.
Good.
Right. And actually, Grace is going to tell us a little bit about some.
Great.
Okay, so we found
Hold it up.
lots of different things, but in particular, we found lots of worms, especially bloodworms. There's little red worms that you usually find curled up in a ball or a circular shape, and they are special because they have blood kind of similar to ours because they have hemoglobin, and there's also some little orange worms in there that are plentiful, and we found many of them around here. And also we learned that the shorebirds have on the end of their beaks, they have some special sensory nerves, like the ones on our fingertips, that help them find the worms in the water.
And Roberta's going to do a little bit more of that. That was mostly the worms, and here's Roberta.
Okay, so we also found some amphipods, and we also found some comb jellies, which is kind of cool because unlike most jellyfish, they don't have tentacles. Well, they do, but it's more around their skin and not coming down from their skin. And we also found a stickleback in breeding plumage, which was pretty cool. And we also found some hermit crabs and stuff like that. And we also learned that in some of these piles of mud, which are kind of greenish, they're actually full with algae and diatoms, which are really full of nutrients, which are pretty good for the birds.
Great. We found lots of stuff. Good.
And then, I think it was the birds next. And then these are the birds that we saw.
Look at the camera.
We saw a peregrine falcon, and we saw quite a few western sea sandpipers, and we saw some yellow and some Dunlin sandpipers. We also saw a harrier and a green-winged teal.
Good. And the peregrine we saw yesterday, the peregrine came flying right over, and we actually saw it trying to hit a shorebird. And so Kevin's going to talk a little bit about that.
Well, as you just mentioned, they come down and try and get the shorebirds. And what they do is they come down and they try to dive down onto them. They've been clocked at about 90 miles an hour in this dive. So the shorebirds have a bit of a dilemma here, because they've got to get a lot of food so that they can make the journey up north. But if they come too close to the shore here, they'll be marked up against the grass here, and the peregrines will easily just come down and take them. And then also, if they get too fat from their feeding, then they can't get away from the peregrines. So they've got to stay a little thin, and they've still got to work up all their body.
It's a tricky.
Yeah.
And speaking of what they have to do, Alex is going to talk about the actual migration and the jumps they make.
Okay, so the migration actually started with the female shorebirds and sandpipers in Panama, and later on they joined the male shorebirds in Mexico. And throughout a few stops that there have been, this is one of them, and it started here at the 16th, and it will end around the end of April. And the thing is, now they will go from here up to Alaska and later on up. And the interesting thing is, shorebird was clocked for 42 hours at 3,000 kilometers. And that's quite a bit.